Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is talking from my heart again. I see something scary and fearful, and I'm going to ask you, do you see it? And I think you will. Okay. Let me show you something. I see it. Question is, do you? Now, here's the way this thing works. So when I get up in the morning, of course, I do my prayers, and then I start praying. I start asking the Lord, lay on my heart, show me what you want to say. You're the only one that knows the end from the beginning. You're the only one that knows what you want to say to your people. What do they need to know? And I start getting this feeling in my heart. This is the topic. And sometimes it relates to news and sometimes that doesn't. This is one of those times that it doesn't. I want to see if you see this. Okay. First of all, if you have not, this is the foundation of Prophecy Club, of course. The foundation is always going to be the blood of Jesus, but I'm talking about in terms of Bible prophecy, in terms of warning, this is our number one warning. You ask me, I think this is why God gave me the opportunity to start Prophecy Club, to continue Dimitri Duduman's message. If you have not seen him give his testimony about an hour and a half, you are really missing something very, very important. You're missing the message that a man sat on the electric chair twice, went through 5 months of torture to get. Go to watchprophecyclub.com, watch the video. Romanian pastors smuggle Bibles into Romania. It's an awesome testimony. But let me point out a couple of things. So this is the crux of the message. August the 3rd, 1984, the angel Gabriel came to him and said, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Hold everything. Let's talk about that. See, when I heard about this in 1987, I cannot imagine. I mean, I was thinking internal revolution was something like them burning cities, like after the George Floyd riots or something like that. That's not an internal revolution. If you look up the definition of an internal revolution, it says it is the armed overthrow of the government by the people. Let me say it again. It's the armed, as in the bloody overthrow of the government. Now think about that. 10 years ago, would you have believed that there would be Americans, normal, average, everyday Americans, that would be willing to pick up arms and kill people in our government? I'm talking about people of the street, pick up guns and go shooting police, military, or whatever they call the government. Would you have thought that happened 10 years ago? I wouldn't. I mean, I didn't see how it happened. But today I think we're about one bullet away. I see on Fox News, here's my day. I get up watching Fox News. I don't believe some of that I hear there either. I mean, it all got to line up with the Bible and with God's prophets. But I'm searching for information, and I'm listening to my heart. Lord, what do you want to say today? And what I see is like a Chicago mayor stands up and openly defies the President of the United States. And then, of course, the Washington, D.C. mayor did. Trump sent the troops in anyway, and now it's a peaceful place. Now in Portland, we see the same thing. We see leaders standing up against leaders, and they keep saying the words like, we've got to push back. Okay, well now, the knuckleheads think push back means bang, bang, bang. We've got to fight this. Well, it doesn't sound bad as it plays on the TV, but what does fight back mean? Well, some of the weirdos that thinks bang, bang, bang. We got to pick up a gun. Okay, was the conspiracy that shot Trump in the right ear, or was it some crazy, or maybe both, okay? But the point is, one of the points I want to make today is, can you believe that an internal revolution would start? I'm talking about the forceful, bloody overthrow of the government by the people. That's an internal revolution. Started by the communists. Okay, we see, I'm not going to name any names. Okay, well, maybe I will. Nancy Pelosi. We see a lot of leftists, both black and white colored skin, and they are pushing back or they're fighting back against Trump. Here's the question we got to ask ourselves: how long is it going to be before there's bullets exchanged both ways? Okay, so at the ICE facility in Dallas, we saw some crazy, hopefully, firing bullets at the ICE. Now, Trump has said if they spit, we hit. So how long is it going to be before an ICE agent gets killed by one of these crazies that is pushing back or that is fighting back, as they are told by the leftist leaders, and they kill an ICE agent, and Trump comes out and says that's enough. You shoot at an ICE agent, and they're shooting back. See, I mean, once that happens and the bullets start flying like this, the blood starts flowing, we are in an internal revolution. Now, you add some 500,000 people that have sealed indictments against them. Right now, they're angry because ICE is rounding up illegal immigrants that came here, broke our law to come in here. That was wrong that they broke our law. But then I just saw Tom Homan just last night on the news say 70% of the people that they are arresting are criminals. So when they're protesting, ICE is arresting 70% criminals. They're arresting people, most of whom have already been through trial and been judged to be kicked out of the nation, and they're protesting that. What's going to happen when people like Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, I'm not saying those people are going to be those arrested. I don't know. But what is going to happen when that sort of stuff starts happening? I can tell you what the prophecy says. Some of the people start fighting. Look at it. Some of the people start fighting against the government. The government then will be busy with internal problems. Are we already seeing the government busy with internal problems? Yes, we are. Now, let me show you the next part. Then from the oceans, Russia. Okay, well, what have we just seen happen with Russia? Okay, so Putin came over here, and reportedly, him and Trump are on good speaking terms. Praise God, hallelujah. That's what we're praying for in our Fast Gap prayer team. About 850 people that fast and pray for America every week. You want to join, go to Prophecy Club, slide to the bottom and join. You can quit anytime you want to. Anyway, but now Trump is saying that we're going to send weapons to NATO. NATO pays us for them. But those weapons are then given by NATO over to Ukraine. And the Russians been saying now for 2 years, if any bombs land in and kill Russians from any other nation, they weren't pointing fingers at America, any other nation, then that makes that nation a combatant. And that nation can expect to be targeted. What does that mean? That means that right now Trump is considering sending tomahawks. Okay, well, what's that? That's a long-range, very specific, deep, penetrating bomb that could do a lot of damage from Ukraine into Russia. In other words, we're probably talking about we can go hit Putin's house with that. But it's American-made, so that puts us involved. It's also cannot be guided by the Ukrainians. You got to have satellites up there. That involves America. So Russia has been saying if it is from some other nation, the tomahawk is from America. If it's guided by some other nation, guided by America, regardless of who pushes the button and launches it, the nation that made it, the nation that targeted it, is now a target. Now, what does that mean? It means that Trump is sending these Tomahawk missiles to NATO. NATO is going to give it to Ukraine. Ukraine is going to fire it, and that may happen in the next few months, maybe even the next few weeks. So NATO fires it, American satellites guide it, and Russia says, we warned you. We warned you. Okay, we're not as big, we're not as fancy, we don't have as much money in America, but we do have the ability in a surprise nuclear attack to take out America in 1 hour, which, in my opinion, is what they have been started since 1912. The whole point was to start a nation to destroy America. That's Russia's objective. So they would reach their objective if they can take out America. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries will attack and defeat America. What did Trump just do in the last 48 hours that puts that on track? He's just announced that the Caribbean cartels are, quote, enemy combatants. He's already blown now 3, but I saw one this morning, so it may be now 4 ships out of the water. No stop, no check, make sure that they have cocaine or whatever on board, just blow them out of the water. Now, they say it was some bad guys, and I believe them, but the point is he's making Central American nations angry. So what does that mean? He declares that they are these cartels. He on Fox News this morning, they listed 10 or 12 of these organizations, Sinaloa, and I'm paid the other ones, whatever they are. So some 10 or 12 of these cartels in Mexico, in Venezuela, he's named them enemy combatants. What does that mean? That means that he's going to start attacking them. What does that mean? It means that, and of course there was another report, that our military has been doing practice runs storming the beach in Costa Rica. And a lot of people saying the practice is to storm the beach in Venezuela, but what if it's also Mexico? What if it's also Cuba and Nicaragua? Just like okay, so we're seeing that Trump, I was talking about this to Leslie this morning. I said, well, Trump thinks he's doing a good job, but there's not enough righteousness in our nation for God to back us up on this. So to me, that last sentence Trump is bringing to pass. Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and other countries are getting angry enough so that Russia comes knocking on the door and say, hey, man, Trump sent these tomahawks, and they blew up this, and they blew up this, and they killed these Russians, and they're American-made. Yes, NATO sent them in. NATO paid for it, but America targeted it, and we've decided we're going to take out America. Do you want to be on our side? And if you do, hey, Mexico, what would you like? Mexico says, well, I'd like to have Texas back. Boom. Mexico, you join the fight, you got Texas back. We defeat them, Texas is yours. Cuba, what would you like? Well, we'd like to have Florida. Give us all of Florida, and you got us. Nicaragua says, well, what would you like? And, well, I'd like to have Georgia and maybe Alabama, or Louisiana. Oh, okay, well, fine. Russia doesn't care. She just wants America destroyed. So my point is, I can see we're getting very close. We're getting which is why, let me back up and show you. I recommend strongly that you go to watchprophecyclub.com. Look, you get first 3 days free. It didn't even cost. There's no reason for you not to go watch this. There's not. But while you're there, I'd recommend you go ahead and sign up, $20 a month or $200 a year, and I think there's even some kind of a special on that. We've got like 300 DVDs there. It took us 25 years to make all these DVDs, and as you saw in yesterday's program, a lot of the stuff on there I can't play on the platforms. They will take me off. Speaking of, a couple of platforms that were taken off, I heard in the last 24 hours that they have been reinstated. So may I ask you folks out there that support Prophecy Club, listen to Prophecy Club, would you pray that YouTube would fully reinstate our channel called Prophecy Club? And when I mean that, I mean reinstate all of our subscribers, which were about 100,000 at the time, and that they would also re-put up all of the videos. We had like 5 or 6 years worth of sermons and all of our daily programs, lots, or different crusades and stuff. Boom, they just took it all off. But with some of these other ministries, we're hearing, just like that, it's back open. Everything's there. Subscribers there, all of their old videos, everything. So pray that they'll do the same thing to Prophecy Club. That would really, really help us. Speaking of, I got a book. I wasn't planning on talking about it yet, but I'll give you a little hint. Okay, so Thomas Nelson, Zondervan, Westbow Press, three companies that are divisions of, have accepted my book called Pentecost Rapture of the Bride. Pentecost Rapture of the Bride. And you remember that 25 years ago, I was drifting off to sleep one night, and I said, Lord, I just want to say that I love you more than I love my wife, more than I love my children, more than I love my very breath and beat of my own heart. And that night was the first night he spoke to me. I heard audible words, and they said, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Now, there's more to it, but I'll skip that. In that, this book has been picked up by the number one Christian publisher on the planet. It may very well be that this book is about to go viral because, well, here's what people say when they read it. I've sent it to 12 or 15 of my friends. Matter of fact, a couple in our church that read it, his wife walked up, she says, well, it made me want to slap my forehead and say, of course. Of course. How come I didn't see this? It's simple. It's the truth. I went through it and explained it about 30 minutes at the PhD conference, Prophecy, Healing, and Deliverance Conference, 2 weeks ago? Now, this is to prophecy students, and I think it was 100%. These are people I've been preaching at for 25 years as post-trib. When I showed them it's not post-trib, it's more pre-wrath, and I showed them what I put in my book, 100% of them agreed. It's right. 100% of them. So I think that this book could be opening doors, and I pray, ask you to pray, that it will be opening doors for Leslie and I to go out and speak and minister in churches across the land. It may also be the reason finally pastors will listen and start working together with me to form meetings in sports stadiums. So if YouTube will reinstate our channel and all of our subscribers, and if we can get all of that back, along with the book coming out in probably 2 or 3 months, by the first quarter of next year, things could be really rolling good for Prophecy Club. So we will see. Now, I've still got some more points I got to make here, so let me move on. Okay, another point I got to make is when the massive arrests take place, the good guys, the law-abiding guys, the Christians, are going to be rejoicing in the streets, just like Jason Meeks was shown. But the bad guys, they love those people. I mean, I do not know that Obama's going to be one of them be arrested, okay? But if he were one that was arrested, do you think that there would be people rejoicing and doing cartwheels in the streets? I do. I think that we're probably talking about the thing that is going to start the internal revolution. If we're seeing already people angry at ICE going out and arresting illegal immigrants that broke our law to come into our nation, 70% of whom are criminals, and we're protesting them being rounded up and moved out of our nation, what's going to happen when people like Obama or Pelosi or Schiff? I mean, take Schiff, okay? A lot of people love the guy, okay? I'm only saying a lot of these things are getting really close, which, by the way, if you need gold or silver, I'd recommend 800-200 gold. 800-200 gold, especially if you have an IRA or 401k. You don't want to lose your money. You don't want to lose your life savings in this crash that's coming. And look, that's not hard to figure out. It's coming. So 800-200 gold. Let me move on, though. Now, let me point out something else. Now, I believe Chris heard from the Lord on this. I believe that this was a vision from the Lord. And there's some other things that later on that a lot of people turned away from listening to his ministry. But at this time, he was walking with the Lord. I want to point out something. Look at number 1 and 2. The U.S. drops 30% in value. Middle Eastern oil strikes deal with China instead of the U.S. What happened June 9th of 2024? That's when the agreement expired between America and Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia started selling oil in some currency other than the dollar. That's already happened. That newspaper headline, theoretically, is out there someplace. Matter of fact, probably need to get someone to look that up. Second thing is perfect storm. Inflation reaches new high. Have we seen inflation? Yes, we have. It hasn't reached a new high. But, what is going on right now? We're in a shutdown. Well, what does that mean? See, because the Republicans say there's no way under the sun we're going to agree to basically undo the big, beautiful bill. And that's what they're asking. And on the other hand, the Democrats are saying there is no way under the sun we are not going to require these things. Now, I talked to Leslie, and she says, probably it'll be done, the whole shutdown thing will be done in a few days. I said, I don't think so. I said, my guess is that we're still going to be in a shutdown by the 1st of next month. And it would not surprise me, but what the shutdown goes more than a month, maybe even more than 2 months. See, because ask yourself this, what could cause a perfect storm? Because a perfect storm is 2 or 3 things hitting all at the same time. Okay, so we've got already Saudi Arabia selling oil and other currency other than the dollar. That's one storm. Then, now we're already in a shutdown. In my opinion, it doesn't look like they're going to kiss and make up anytime soon. Republicans are not going to agree to what the Democrats want, and the Democrats are not going to agree according to what the Republicans want. They both are willing to go down with the ship this time. That's another storm. Now, as a result of that food shortage crisis and wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate, look at if America stays in this shutdown, what are the rest of the world going to do? I don't know if I want to ship something to America. I mean, the dollar looks like it's falling apart. See what I'm saying? Another thing. So what happens if the dollar is falling apart? What happens if the dollar, all of a sudden, the inflation starts going up, the dollar starts crashing, and then we start seeing what Shane Warren was told, give us our entitlements, give us our entitlements. Look, how many people have been laid off with Doge when President Trump first came in? And now they're laying off more people, give us our entitlements. Well, where would the give us our entitlements come from? I can tell you, that would come because the government shut down. The government shut down and they have to cut off WIC. The women, infants, and children's help. They have to cut off, what was the other one? The free handouts from government. Social Security. Okay, so the government staying shut down for several months, in my opinion, I don't think we're getting out of this shutdown for maybe even several months. So what happens if we're in January or February and we're still in a shutdown? Whoa. Well, that would mean if inflation would reach a new high. That might mean that there's a food shortage crisis, wheat and bread imports at a stalemate. That might mean the value of the dollar now has dropped, like Coverstone saw, a third, and zero. Shane Warren saw half, zero. This guy sees half, zero. Now, here's another thing. Okay, so yesterday was atonement. And by the way, if you got 2 Jews, you got 3 opinions. And so, yes, the place, hebcal.com, is where I go to find out the dates for the feasts, which disagreed with what Fox News was saying and what the Jews are saying. But there's all kinds of confusion. But the point is, we're in the season for atonement. We're in the season for what would be the date that starts the tribulation and ends the tribulation, ends the judgment. Atonement, that is the day of judgment. That starts the judgment, that ends the judgment, and here we are. Yesterday was atonement. Did Hamas agree, and did it get done yesterday? And is this the date that started the tribulation? Are we officially already in the tribulation? I don't know. I don't know yet, but I'm certainly watching. What I'm saying is, I see a whole lot of things. I see a whole lot of things that all of a sudden could be a perfect storm. A lot of things could be happening just like the prophets have been told. Okay, so let's jump to the next one. So a food shortage crisis happens because we're still in a shutdown. Dollar drops in half, still in a shutdown. Riots and civil unrest as citizens demand entitlement checks. That's the same thing Shane Warren saw. We're talking about this could be happening 3 months, 6 months, 3 weeks. Now, let's look at the next thing. The next thing is Israel split, earthquake hits America. Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution reached. Okay, wait a minute. Israel is saying there is no way under God's Son that we're going to give the Palestinians a state. And Trump is basically saying the same thing. But Trump is also interested in a peace deal. What happens if all of a sudden, maybe not this year, maybe next year they come up with splitting Israel. Maybe this whole peace thing that they just are agreeing to now, with the Abraham Accords behind it, all of a sudden, it didn't work so good. And all of a sudden, Trump is saying, look, you got to give the Palestinians a state. Then America's hit with, in other words, what I'm saying is, don't think these prophecies are over the horizon. They're coming someday. I don't think they're over the horizon. I don't think they're at the end of the block. They might be at the end of the driveway, but here's the point. This is the scary part. They might be ringing our doorbell. It might be that we haven't seen it. It might be that we're enjoying the Trump is fixing everything, but we haven't seen everything that a prophecy student sees. So what I'm trying to say is, my brothers and sisters, don't think Trump is fixing everything. Don't think, oh, well, we prayed away all of these prophecies. I don't think so. I think they're getting real close. Which, speaking of that, we almost hit red in our account today. I'm tired of asking. I guess we'll just hit red and things start bouncing. I don't know. God's going to take care of us. But if God has blessed you and you can help, now would be a very good time to help. I hate to ask, but we need your help. If you can help, please do. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians, and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper, and as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice.